Thank you, Mr Kerr. I now call on the Minister to respond to the debate. Minister, for around 7 minutes.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Let me begin by extending my gratitude to Michelle Thomson, not only for tabling the motion, but for so eloquently setting the scene for the debate, and also to members across the Chamber for their considered insights. Colleagues have already highlighted some of the many achievements of Adam Smith, a great moral philosopher and political economist, as we've heard, one of the key figures in the Scottish Enlightenment. It has been an informative debate. I personally did not know, for example, that Smith had an asteroid named after him, or that he went to university aged 14 to 15. I certainly didn't know that Liz Smith may be a descendant. We should be proud of the impact Smith has had and continues to have on Scotland, and indeed the rest of the world. And it's entirely appropriate that we take time today to celebrate Adam Smith, 300 years after his birth in Kirkcaldy. These celebrations are happening right across the country, not the least of which would be in Glasgow University, where he was a student, the recipient of an honorary doctorate, later staff member and eventually the rector. At a speaking engagement there this morning, I was told also that he wrote his theory of moral sentiments at Glasgow University. But in doing all this, I also want to celebrate the role of the Scottish universities have had and to continue to have in the exchange of ideas, in driving innovation on a global scale and in contributing to social justice. During the 18th century, the Scottish Enlightenment, as we know, put our country at the heart of global intellectual discourse. It's fitting that we're speaking here today in Edinburgh, a city which was at the heart of that revolutionary time, a time when there was a constant exchange of ideas between medics and philosophers, engineers and economists, writers and researchers. This interdisciplinary approach provided a fertile breeding ground for the theories and the discoveries that would shape Scotland and the rest of the world for years to come. Smith, as many contributors have noted, was one of the key figures in the Enlightenment. He lived at a time when Scotland was leading the world in thinking, innovation and invention, traits which continue to this day. One of the greatest contributions he and the Enlightenment made to the world was the new emphasis on bringing together talent from across disciplines and crossing the divide between the theoretical and the practical for the public good. Debates on the influence of Smith's work often point to the many ways in which he's been misunderstood. In 2017, the then First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, acknowledged that Smith is one of the most misquoted and misinterpreted economists in human history. He's often held up as a believer in unrestrained free markets, but a detailed examination of his work arguably shows someone in favour of properly functioning markets which enable a just society to flourish. In The Wealth of Nations, Smith said, "No society can be flourishing and happy of which the far greater part of the members are poor and miserable." As an academic put it to me this morning, Smith was neither right-wing nor left-wing. He was Adam Smith. The idea of social justice is one which we continue to see reflected in Scotland today. What a fine legacy for a colossus to have left behind. But of course, Presiding Officer, Smith's contributions would not have been possible without the education system and the universities which enabled them to flourish. For centuries, our universities have played leading roles in nurturing the best minds in the country, providing opportunities for discussion, debate and reflection. As we've heard, Adam Smith was educated at the University of Glasgow, an institution whose business school now bears his name. And we have our university system to thank for helping to shape him into the father of modern economics, as he's widely recognised. Our universities, I'm just about to finish if I may, our universities continue to bring together students and staff with different perspectives and life experience. The policy of free tuition and widening access have made this more open to more of our young people than ever before. In fact, I suspect Smith would be proud of. Smith's was also the time that saw the dawn of what we now recognise as scientific method, the gathering of evidence and the challenging of previously accepted theories, the idea that people should think for themselves rather than believe what they've been told. Though I'm not sure what he would have made of the role of social media in modern society in the context of thinking for yourself, where it extends to espousing wild conspiracy theories as fact. Yes, of course.
Stephen Kerr.
Grateful to the Minister for giving way. He heard impassioned pleas from Pam Gosal and Ash Regan about the vital issue of freedom of speech, especially on the campuses of our esteemed universities. Would the Minister take this opportunity to give a categoric statement, unequivocal statement, in support of the right of freedom of speech on the campuses of Scotland's universities?
Minister. Also, freedom of speech matters, as does respect for others, and very often the tone in which we conduct debates is just as important as the debates themselves. Presiding Officer, the attributes which Smith advanced remains those of the Scottish research sector today. Scotland has 3 universities in the top 200 of the 2023 Times Higher Education World University Rankings, and each of our 19 higher education institutions conduct world-leading research across a breadth of disciplines, and almost half of it is undertaken with international collaborators. That interconnectedness of people, cultures, facilities, data, knowledge and ideas is the means by which we have the chance to solve some of the world's most difficult problems, from the climate crisis to child poverty. Presiding Officer, as the motion for this debate rightly notes, we should be proud, deeply proud, of Adam Smith's legacy and of the continued role Scotland's universities play in leading the exchange of ideas. I'm confident that we will continue to nurture more great thinkers in Scotland's future, a future based upon the wisdom of Adam Smith and the Scottish Enlightenment. Presiding Officer.
Thank you very much, Minister.